All right, let's do this then. Hey, everybody, how's everybody doing today? Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your Saturday night. As always, I'd like to thank the people that are essential workers right now, the ones that are working in hospitals, science labs, just everywhere, from doctors, nurses, scientists, janitors, as well as those truck drivers, fast food workers, grocery store workers, just anywhere and anybody that's out there working right now during this time. I'm going to extend my thanks to you and keeping you guys in my thoughts and prayers as we're going through something right now that's unheard of. But, we're going to get through this because that's what this good thing about humanity is, that we always find a way to overcome. So I think we just have to keep the hope alive, and hopefully everything just gets better soon. As always, wash your hands before and after every meal. If you're going to sneeze, sneeze on your elbow, and always carry some hand sanitizer with you. So, and for the people that are quarantined, and for the people that are, tuning in right now, whether on this page on YouTube Live or on our Facebook Live page, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And hopefully, you guys are staying safe out there. You guys are keeping your body rested, your mind fresh, and the quicker we all work together, the quicker this all goes away. So, it's all about teamwork, man. And hopefully, when this is over, we get to go back to normal lives, which is, I'm sure, everybody wants. And that's what we're hoping for, too. So, let's all work together to make this thing finally just disappear and go back to our normal lives. So, today, we are going to talk about the NFC South. We're going to recap their draft and see how every team did. This division now is a quarterback division because it seemed like every franchise in this division has their quarterback. The Saints have Drew Brees, the Falcons have Matt Ryan, the Buccaneers signed Tom Brady, and the Panthers snatched Teddy Bridgewater away from Carolina. So this is going to be a good division this year. It's going to be an exciting one, and I cannot wait for the schedule to come out because I know the Saints Buccaneers, that's already a primetime game. The Falcons Buccaneers, the Matt Ryan, Tom Brady Super Bowl 28-3, that's going to be a primetime game. The Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater going back to New Orleans. This division is going to get a lot of primetime games this year, whether it's Thursday night, Monday night, Sunday night. It doesn't matter. They're going to get a lot of primetime games, and we're excited. I'm excited for it as a fan. So, when the schedule comes out, can't wait to see how it all unfolds. So, as I mentioned, we're going to recap the NFC South. So, here we go. Starting off with the division champs, New Orleans Saints. They only have 4 draft picks. And, with their first pick in pick 24, they took Cesar Ruiz, the center guard out of Michigan. As I mentioned, he was the best center, coming out of college football this year. So to get him at 24 is a steal. You could put him right now at center. You could put him at guard. He's going to start this year. The offensive line can get better for the Saints, and I think that's what they did to give, Drew Brees a little bit more time. And I like the pick. It's an A-plus pick for the Saints here. Then they didn't pick again until the 3rd round. Pick 74, Zach Bond, the linebacker out of Wisconsin. Now, this kid has first-round grades. The problem is at the combine, like a few weeks before the draft even opened up, or the draft was going to start, there was a problem with his test at the combine. I guess his urinalysis test, and it came back diluted. It came back hot, and we didn't know what to really believe. Was it an accident? Did Zach Bond really do something? We don't know, but that's what kind of made him fall a little bit to the 3rd round. But I think at the 3rd round, you have to take a chance, especially in this division now with it seemed everybody having their quarterback. You need as many pass rushes as you can get, and Zach Bond is one of the better ones. So to get him in the 3rd, I think that's a steal. So I give it a B- decision there. 3rd round, 105. Now, they actually gave up a lot of picks. They actually gave up their 4th rounder, their 5th rounder, and their 6th rounder to trade up to get this guy. Adam Trotman, the tight end out of Dayton. Now, he's a pass catching tight end. He can run block. He's a sub average run blocker, and they just want to get that passing game going. They want another dominant tight end. You know, they don't know how many years Cook has, and I think getting him, he could be the future. We'll see. But really not one of the first tight ends that I thought was going to come off the board, but they got him, and we'll see how this goes. I give it a low B to high C. I mean, it's just, again, this tight end class is weird, like it is every year, but you could just tell there's a couple tight ends that are going to make it. It's just kind of weird where they get picked up, and this is one of those deals that there was a lot of other tight ends out there that I didn't think he would be this guy, but they liked them enough to trade up and give up a couple day 3 picks. So, and then they didn't pick again until the 7th round. 240, Tommy Stevens, the quarterback out of Mississippi State. Best comparison is the guy that's on the team right now. Not Drew Brees, but Taysom Hill, the other quarterback. He's a do-it-all dude. He's an athletic man. Quarterback situation, you could put him at wide receiver. He's just an athletic man. To get him in the 7th round. So overall for the Saints, I thought that maybe they should have held on to those picks to maybe get another wide receiver now that Ted Ginn is, gone. They did get Emmanuel Sanders, but I just don't see him as the long-term answer. Michael Thomas, he's getting the respect now, but with that respect, there's going to be teams that are going to game plan around him. So, I mean, he's still the man. He's still one of the best in the game. It's just, if he would have gotten a little bit of help, I think that would have, made it a little bit easier situation. But overall, for the Saints to get the best center, one of the better linebackers, a need a tight end, and a third-string quarterback, I'll give them a middle of the road. I think trading up really did hurt their grade. I mean, they love them enough, and that's always fine. You want to get your players the ones you want. It's just sometimes for a day 2 pick, you kind of want to save those. But, we'll see how that goes. So middle of the road for the Saints. The Falcons are up next, and with their first pick at 16, they take A.J. Terrell, the corner out of Clemson. Now, this was kind of an interesting pick because, there were some scouts that loved him, and there were some scouts that didn't love him. It was, they were completely off their board. One was, he gets overpowered by physical receivers. And then there's times, there's another report out there that, hey, he can cover with the fastest. So, I mean, it's kind of an interesting mixed review with him. But, Atlanta took him at 16. So I'm going to assume that Atlanta did enough homework to make the confidence pick that they're going to take this kid at 16. I mean, this was kind of like the first, he's one of the corners going into the first, and then 3 picks later, Damon Arnett. So I think the thing is, these guys did enough homework on him that they feel confident enough to take a chance on him. So, AJ Terrell, I like them coming out of Clemson. I mean, Clemson corners are kind of becoming a popular thing now, and maybe they're thinking maybe they can strike gold like the Trayvon Mullen pick last year and that safety a couple of years ago. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it works out for them. 2nd round, pick 52, Marlon Davidson, the defensive end out of Auburn. This is going to be a tricky thing because he's an end, but he can also play inside. So I don't know how that affects with the whole, maybe he'll pair him up with Jared Grady, and maybe they'll leave him outside, with Vic Beasley gone, and now they declined Takarius McKinley's 5th-year option. So maybe that's kind of like this is the end of the road for maybe if he doesn't have another good year. So, I mean, Marlon Davidson, you can put him in the outside, you could put him inside. And, he did have late 1st-round grade, but he fell to the 2nd. So I think that 40 time really did kind of hurt his stock, and his 10-yard split wasn't the fastest, and his 3-cone really was, kind of unexpectedly bad which is weird because he was one of the better players in the SEC. So maybe he's just more of a actual player than he is a testing guy. So you got to take a chance on this kid. I mean, you can move him inside, outside. I give it a B minus, just due to the fact that what he did at Auburn with Derek Brown, it was amazing. So I think he's gonna just do just fine. So third round pick 78, Matt Hennessy, the center out of Temple. Now they already have Alex Mack at center, but that doesn't mean that they could transition him to one of the guard positions. Remember, Matt Ryan did get sacked 48 times last year. So in retrospective, he got sacked at least 3 times a game. That's not a good look for an offensive line. So they need help. They need offensive line help, and you could put him center, you could put him guard. Um, he's not the quickest, but he is one of the strongest. So I think he will start. And I mean, you have nothing to lose when your offensive line was bad. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You give up 49 sacks next year with a young rookie offensive lineman. I mean, no, it's just I think he'll start. So fourth round, 119, Mikael Walker, the linebacker out of Fresno State. He's kind of like an interesting, intriguing player. Um, he can run. His tackling is above average. He can cover, but he can get lost in the mix as well. It's just depending on if you want to take the good with the bad, or if you want to just look at the glass half empty versus half full. It really does depend, how Atlanta wants to utilize them. Do they want to put him at the middle? Do they want to put him as an outside? Do they want to bring him in for a third down situation? But whatever the case may be, they're going to give him every opportunity to play. So, I give this a C only due to the fact of other linebackers that were still available. But it's like I said, these guys did their homework enough to know what they're doing. So, with their other fourth round pick at 134, Jalen Hawkins, the safety out of California. Now, he started at corner, they transferred him to safety, and then his whole career he had 10 interceptions. We're going to see how it goes. I mean, this is one of their needs because with Ricardo Allen and Keno Neal kind of being injury prone safeties now at this point in their career, they need depth. And I think if you're going to get a safety, why not get a guy who did have a good career at Cal and will play safety long term in the NFL? So why not? And then seventh round, 228. Sterling Hofrichter, the punter out of Syracuse. He was the second best punter in my opinion, coming out. And, he's got a strong leg. He's very accurate. The only thing is it's sometimes, he over kicks it, and that's why it kind of doesn't really get the bounce to, bounce outside the sidelines. His coffin punts really aren't there. It's just he knows how to kick. It's just sometimes he over kicks it, and the point of punting is to try to pin him, between the 20 to the 1, to get your defense a good, field to work with, to call different plays. But, sometimes he just puts a little too much mustard on that kick. So overall for the Falcons, only due to the fact of the names that they got, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Again, the names are good. It's just let's see how this coaching staff handles it. And if they do handle it well, maybe they could be a wild card team, and we'll go from there. So the Buccaneers are next on the board. Remember, they just signed Tom Brady. They got all these weapons. Gronk is out of retirement. Gronk is now a Buccaneer for at least a year. So they actually traded up. They went from 14 to 13. And the story goes, we didn't know what the condition was at Joe Staley. So the Buccaneers originally tried to trade up with the Raiders. And this is a story article that you could find, by one of those beat reporters who covers the Raiders and who did the draft and everything. And it's just, Raiders Beat, at RaidersBeat.com. So kudos to them for that article. So what happened was the Buccaneers did call Mike Mayock, and they offered him to swap picks, a second rounder, a fifth rounder, and a seventh. So Mike Mayock stuck to his guns. He said no. So he took Henry Ruggs. And I think Tampa Bay was the only team that sniffed out the 49ers, knowing that Joe Staley was going to retire. So they were concerned, well, at 13, are they going to take an offensive lineman, the guy we want, or are they going to go somewhere else? So the moral of the story is the 49ers had the huge mind games over both the Raiders and the Buccaneers, because the Raiders believes was if they're trading up, they're going to try to get one of the better receivers and they can, bypass an offensive lineman until day 2. Well, the Buccaneers' fear was, okay, Joe Staley's going to leave. I think the 49ers are going to go offensive tackle. So what then happened was the Raiders did Henry Ruggs. They picked him up. Then they cut a deal with San Francisco. They only moved one spot up, but they gave them a second rounder, a fourth rounder, a fifth rounder, and a seventh rounder, the same package that they were going to give the Raiders. And that's how the 49ers ended at 14 and the Buccaneers ended up at 13. So with the 13th pick, they took Tristan Wirfs, the offensive lineman out of Iowa. It wasn't a need. It wasn't the biggest need, but when you got Tom Brady out there, you're going to have to get as many offensive linemen as you can. Now the Buccaneers are set to compete with the Saints to try to compete with them for that division title. Now, it all depends on the defense holds up, because last year the defense wasn't good, but that was due to the favor of the offense always turning it over. And, as good as the defense can be, if your offense keeps like turning it over, punting it, or not scoring enough, then you're just going to get tired and you're going to get winded, and that's it. It's a recipe for disaster. So they got Tristan Wirfs. He's going to play right tackle for now. We'll see how this goes, and who knows? I mean, maybe this is the pick that's going to elevate the Buccaneers to compete for a division this year. Second round, 45, Antoine Winfield Jr. Yes, he is the son of former safety Antoine Winfield. He's coming out of Minnesota. He's a great pass coverage guy, and he knows how to turn over the ball. It seemed like every highlight of his week on a week-to-week basis was him either intercepting the ball, forcing a fumble, or, just pick six. It didn't matter. So he's an all-over-the-field type of safety. So I think this is a great value pick here. Third round, pick 76, Keyshawn Vaughn. Now, it all depends on how Tampa Bay viewed him. I mean, is he going to start over Ronald Jones? Is that Ronald Jones relationship over? Is he just going to be the backup for now? Because him and DeAndre Swift are the only two running backs in the SEC for the last 2 years to rush over for 1,000. So keep that in mind. He's the only other SEC running back the last 2 years to rush over for 1,000. The other guy was DeAndre Swift. So it all depends. Maybe it is good. Maybe competition is going to make the better out of Ronald Jones, or maybe this guy just takes over and never looks back. So we'll see how this goes. Overall, I thought it was a little too high, but he is a great pass blocker. He knows how to catch. It's just in the third round for a guy his stature, we'll see. Overall, it's a C, solid C for me. Then, they went back to Minnesota in the fifth round. Tyler Johnson, the wide receiver out of Minnesota. He doesn't have the greatest separation. He doesn't have the greatest, get up speed, but what he does have is excellent concentration and strong hands. So he can make the weirdest, hardest catches you'll ever see a wide receiver do. So at this point in the fifth round, why not? You need another weapon anyway. Maybe he could be your red zone target. He's got the height and he's got the vision for it. So why not? And then sixth round, pick 194, Khalil Davis, the defensive tackle out of Nebraska. Nebraska really is known for, trenches guys, offensively and defensively. I think he's going to come in and be a rotational man, but I wouldn't be surprised maybe down the road, maybe if he does improve his game a little bit, that he does start. I can see that happening. I mean, he showed it at Nebraska. I don't see why not here either. So overall, for a sixth rounder, I give it a low B, just because of the name and how far he went. And then seventh round, 241, Chappelle Russell, the linebacker out of Temple. Now this guy was a a freak. He wasn't Isaiah Thomas freakish, but he's pretty, well talented in his own right too. It's just he went to a smaller school, and it all depends on how the Buccaneers want to use him. Pass rushing situation, short yardage situation. He can't cover. He does have some coverage skills. It's just don't expect him to cover for too long like some of these other linebackers. So seventh round, 245. Raymond Calais, the running back out of Louisiana Lafayette. It's a go big or go home pick. Um, it's either going to be kick return duties, special team duties, or he's just going to end up in the practice squad. So it's a go big or go home pick right here. So why not? For the Buccaneers, I'm actually going to give them a thumbs up. They actually did everything right. They got an offensive lineman to give a little bit more time to Brady. They reshored their defensive side. They got some other weapons offensively, and now the Buccaneers are looking like the team to dethrone the Saints for the division. Now, the only bad thing is if Tom goes down, then there's a problem. Then it's gonna have to be to the point where, hey, we might have to bring in Cam because he's out there. I would have said Andy Dalton. However, he is now a Dallas Cowboy, as we found out like about an hour ago, a couple hours ago, something like that. That he just signed a deal with the Dallas Cowboys. So now Dak has his backup in Andy Dalton. So other than that, the Buccaneers, I give them a thumbs up in this draft class. They took care of what they needed to do, and they got everything they wanted. So, kudos to them. And then the last team in this division, the Panthers. Nothing to it. As I mentioned in my mocks, they're going to try everything they can to rebuild that defense, which is their bread and butter, was their bread and butter. Now, Luke Kuechly's gone. Josh Norman is now somewhere else. I think yes, that's right. He's in Buffalo now. Um, Trey Boston's gone. A lot of these guys that were there are getting a little bit older, so now it's just kind of to revamp it, and we'll start with their seventh pick, Derek Brown, the defensive tackle out of Auburn. So he's the best defensive tackle. The best defensive lineman was Chase Young, but he was the best defensive tackle in this year's draft, and it was kind of like a foregone conclusion that they wanted to start from the trenches. So why not get the man that's going to be, that's regarded as the best defensive tackle coming out of this draft, since um, Leonard Williams and those guys. So we'll see. Maybe, hopefully, his career is a little better. Not to say that Leonard Williams' career has been bad. It's just not what everybody kind of expected out of the former number 5 pick. And Derek Brown is hopefully he has a better career with Carolina. Then they move on to the second round, 38. Yetur Gross-Matos, the defensive end out of Penn State. Now this guy. He did have first round grade, but unfortunately, how it fell for him, he didn't have to wait that long anyway. He only had to wait 6 picks in, but the Panthers went back to the defensive line. They got the guy out of Penn State, and now you have your 2 guys in the trenches with Derek Brown and Gross-Matos, and again another solid pickup there. They stayed in the second round at pick 64. I think that was the last pick. They went Jeremy Chin, the safety out of Southern Illinois. Now, this guy was the talk of the town at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine. He had a great showing at the Senior Bowl. He had a great Combine performance. His interviews were great. He's kind of like the Isaiah Thomas type, or not the Isaiah Thomas, sorry. I'm thinking of The Last Dance. Isaiah Simmons. He was just intriguing. Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? He's going to play safety in the NFL only due to the fact that he's not, big enough to play linebacker. But to get an athletic guy like that in the second round, I say why not? He had a good showing. He showed what he can do. I think this was another great pickup by Carolina. Then in the fourth round, 113, they drafted Troy Pride Jr., the cornerback out of Notre Dame. Now, I think for right now, they're going to put him at the slot, and then eventually they'll work him way up to be a starting corner with Dante Jackson and the gang. And again, another solid pickup here by the Carolina Panthers. They have they so far they've done everything right. And then fifth round, 152, Kenny Robinson, the safety out of West Virginia, which is this was kind of an interesting pick in itself because um, Kenny Robinson was from West, or he did play college ball in West Virginia, but he played in the XFL last year. This is the first guy from the XFL to get drafted into the NFL. So what happened was he got to West Virginia. He did some type of fraud, I think, with his grades or something like that, or something happened, and he got caught. He got expelled. He got a second chance with the XFL, and now he's getting his chance at the NFL. And I think he's learned his lesson. He had a solid run at the XFL. He ended up with 2 interceptions and 2 forced fumbles. And, I think this is a good chance for him. I think really, why not? He's already got a taste of somewhat of a professional atmosphere with the XFL. So I say why not? And then sixth round, pick 184, Bravion Roy, the defensive tackle out of Baylor. Now, this pick was kind of interesting only due to the fact that the new head coach, Matt Rule, knows him because of his time in Baylor, and he knows what he can do. So he's going to be a rotational guy from passing down situations. Eventually, maybe he'll get his way up to starter position, but I think, only due to the fact that he knew him, he knows what he brings. And if anybody's going to know anybody about Baylor guys, it's going to be Matt Rule. And he loved him enough to take him in the sixth round. And if he believes that this is the guy that's going to do it, great. Great pick up there. So, and their last pick is seventh round, 221, Stanley Thomas Oliver III, the cornerback out of FIU. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be safety position, corner, nickel, dime, kick return, punt returner. But again, this is one of those other ones that we like to call go big or go boom, go big, go home, boom or bust type of picks. So it's either he's going to work out or he's going to end up in the practice squad. So there's nothing to it other than that. So for the Panthers, I'm actually going to give these guys a thumbs up. You drafted the best defensive tackle. You got a great defensive end with first round talent. You got the all-star, highlight film of Jeremy Chin. You took a potential starter with Troy Pride. Kenny Robinson's going to add great depth. Bravion Roy is way underappreciated than he really is. And Stanley Thomas is a do-it-all guy, and hopefully he pans out well. So overall, I got to give the Panthers a thumbs up. I thought they did great. And that's it, guys. That is my reaction. I think from all of this, on another side note, the Panthers are the first team in the modern draft era to go all defense with their picks. So, I mean, I kept saying that they were going to rebuild the defense. I just didn't think that it was going to do one draft to try to put it all together. But they believe it. So, okay, we'll go with it. I think right now, for my money, it's going to be hard for me to say the Buccaneers are not going to win this division. I know the Saints are there. It's just, we always mention, and it's kind of funny that, that Super Bowl window and people laugh at it, but it's really true when you look at it. I mean, I don't know how many more years the Saints got together. The Buccaneers, again, are only one, quarterback injury away. And at that point, I mean, it'll be a crapshoot. It all depends on how the Falcons and Panthers do. But, this is not a game of what ifs. This is just kind of like what's on paper right now. And what's on paper right now, I got the Buccaneers over the Saints to win that division. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. And I'm excited. So, that'll do it for the NFC South. Tomorrow, I do have on deck the AFC East. So we're going to recap the AFC East. So we're going to go to the Patriots, the Bills, the Jets, and the Miami Dolphins. So, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, because now the AFC East, for the first time in a long time, Tom Brady's not in that division. So now it just feels like it's an open crapshoot. But, for me, Bill Belichick is still there. And until somebody says otherwise or proves otherwise, I mean, it's still New England. So, I mean, we just have to see how it all turns out. So tomorrow's the AFC East, and in a moment, I'm gonna put on my Facebook page, but I'm gonna say it here. I'm gonna do a special about the draft release, or not the draft, the schedule release show. It should be coming out this week. The NFL already put it out there that this whole schedule for the 2020-2021 season is going to come out this week. And I kind of want to see, maybe I can get some volunteers to, maybe talk about how their team, how they like their schedule, what do they like about it, what do they don't like about it, how they feel about it. And, I'll put more info on the Facebook page, and I'll put more on my channel here. And if you guys want to talk about your team, and I think the schedule said the 7th. I think the 7th it is that it's going to come out, but I'll look more into it. I'll know more tomorrow, but I just heard today that they're going to release it this week. But overall, I'm excited, but I would like to get a couple other people from other teams that, to talk about their schedule and see how they like it, how they don't like it. Maybe we can do like a win-loss prediction just by what everything we know. And, hopefully I get some volunteers. I'll put it up here in a bit, but that's going to do it for me today, guys. Do we have any questions on the thing? Nope. All right, guys, enjoy your Saturday, and we will see you tomorrow.